And it looks like the players have begun. Stephane has won a lot of games with Dugong. He's looking to win a couple more here to advance to the finals. Stephane is going first, and we are off to the races here in the semi-finals. Stephane versus Diego, two legends of the game. How do you see this matchup playing out, Kyle?
I give a slight edge to Stephane since he is going first, but otherwise I think it's pretty even. The Zoroark Pikachu Zekrom matchup historically was pretty even, but that was when Zoroark was playing Lycanroc GX. You had the fighting type attacker to deal with Pikachu and Zekrom in one attack. The matchup has changed a lot since then. You have a lot of different tech cards. You're no longer seeing the fighting Pokemon, but you are seeing that Mew that is on Stephane's bench. The bench barrier can block the bench damage from that Tag Bolt GX attack. So I do think the matchup is a lot different, but at the end of the day, it's probably still a wash. It's probably still about 50-50.
Yeah, two of the best decks in the format here, two of the best players in the world here having a real clash of the ages. We see a Nest Ball and then a Ditto Prism Star, and then filling up the bench of Stephane, passing with two Zorua and Ditto Prism Star, which is exactly what we've seen him do every turn one of this tournament.
Yeah, and you see the star finisher of his last game, that Marshadow. It took down that Buzzwole to send him to the top 4. Typically not used for attacking, but sometimes it can. Oh, no.
Wow, it looks like Diego has just actually attached and passed the turn. No supporter played. And wow, we said this matchup was close, but this one could be a runaway.
Stephane is favored in this matchup, Ken.
The advantage shifts way over to Stephane here as he has two Zoroark GXs in play and his opponent has made one game action.
And yeah, now the second Zoroark GX coming into play, once you get 2 or 3 Zoroark GX into play, I mean, we've seen it for over a year now. You just get to trade, build up your hand, draw the cards you need, and then cap it off with a very efficient attack in Riotous Beating. It still holds up, even in the era of tag team Pokemon. You still get a 2-hit knockout on Pikachu and Zekrom GX.
Yeah, 2-hit knockouts are the name of the game for Zoroark GX, and not much has changed. Whenever you can combine your draw power and an aggressive attacker in one card, it's going to be good, and Zoroark has proven that it's great its entire time in the standard format. And now the bench is totally full, contributing to a potential Riotous Beating with that Zorua off the Nest Ball.
Yeah, it's actually a little deceptive. The bench is technically full, but Marshadow can remove itself from the bench if you need to open up another spot. And there we do see Alolan Muck coming in from Stephane. This was one of the very important cards in this matchup in the past. The Power of Alchemy ability turns off all basic Pokemon's abilities. So that means your opponent cannot use things like Tapu Koko Prism Star, can't use Jirachi. It's a little counterintuitive in the deck now because it turns off your own Mew's bench barrier, but in positions like this, well, you see how important it is. Diego saying, oh no, bring that out. I need to try to deal with this thing.
Immediately recognizing how important it is, Guzmaing it up, but he's still just forced to attach and pass the turn.
And he's going to see some bad news. I think Stephane has a Guzma of his own, and he can move Muck out of there.
Yeah, he does indeed.
Muck, of course, has that 4 retreat cost. It ain't moving anytime soon unless you play a trainer to get it out of the way.
Yeah, not a fast Pokemon is Muck. And a couple of trades later, Stephane has a full hand. Here he does have that Guzma that will immediately be played, putting that Zoroark back where it belongs in the active position.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate start to the series. Stephane looks like he's just going to pull really far ahead. Now, there are 2 energy on the Pikachu and Zekrom GX, so it's not unreasonable for Diego to find a way to win this game, but
another energy off the top is certainly not going to help him.
Yeah, it's certainly not looking good. He cannot use Zeraora GX's Thunderclap Zone ability either, so cannot retreat, and just attaches to his bench Pokemon.
And for the 3rd turn, just forced to pass the turn, giving up the Zeraora GX, but not before a couple of trades happened here. And this is the power of the Zoroark deck too. It just capitalizes on your opponent stumbling so much. It's not only just that you're attacking in advance of your own board, but you're just trading every turn. You can draw into all of your resources.
Yeah, eventually you just start to bury your opponent with how many cards you're drawing. In the Pokemon TCG, you have access to a lot of your deck at most points of the game, but Zoroark takes it to a new level. When you're drawing 4 or even 6 extra cards a turn once you get all these Zoroark GX into play. You start to discard the cards you don't need, which helps you thin out your deck. You draw into the cards you do need, and eventually it gets to the point where you get to do whatever you want every turn. Now you're a little bit limited by the fact that Zoroark GX doesn't do the most amount of damage in the world, but a lot of the time it just doesn't matter if you're drawing every card in your deck.
Yeah, but he does have access to that third trade. 3 Zoroark GXs on the bench, and it looks like he's prepping for a Guzma, this time a more offensive one.
Yeah, I like this play. One of the ways you can lose this game is if Diego goes like double Electro Power, full Blitz, knock out your Zoroark GX. This way Stephane gets in a hit before the Pikachu and Zekrom gets to attack him. And with that Alolan Muck already in play, Stephane has crafted a scenario where he is in firm control of this first game.
And will the top of his deck bring him something? No, just another Lightning Energy for Diego there. Only one supporter played that Guzma all game.
Just a miserable hand. You
Not
see
the
that?
hand you wanted to see at this point.
Yeah, and you see the Marshadow in his hand, which is also worthless because of that Alolan Muck. The power of alchemy has just put down the clamps on Diego. All right, he does get the Electro Power though, so he can Tag Bolt GX here for 230, get the knockout, and at least put on some pressure.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he's going to be doing here, considering whether to play down the Marshadow. He does, and now he's just going to flip the GX marker, Tag Bolt GX for the knockout. Hopefully the prizes will be a little bit more helpful to him. Stephane promotes that other Zoroark GX that he already had built up with the energy.
Yeah, unfortunately for Diego, the Thunder Mountain Prism Star was in his prized cards, and if he were able to grab it off there, he could actually attack with Zeraora GX in the next turn, but with that Prism Star Stadium card stuck in his prizes, there's no way for him to attack with Zeraora on the next turn. So everything is going well for our defending champion so far, but this is a best 2 out of 3 match. It's far from over, and we'll see if he can just close out the first game and press his advantage further.
Absolutely. We see the second double colorless energy hit the board on that bench Zoroark GX. And this is kind of the game Stephane is just trying to play every single game, which is just set my Zoroarks up, draw all the cards that I need. Maybe I can get a Persian GX in at some point. Other than that, I'm just going to be happy hitting everything.
Yep, and we're going to see Riotous beating this turn, taking down Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Also a Pal Pad to shuffle some Guzma back into his deck. It's not quite the same as the old Versus Seeker, but it gets the job done.
It does indeed. 2 Guzma going back to the deck. Why do you think Stephane's choosing to put in the Guzma rather than maybe a draw support or something that can, like a Lily?
Yeah, well, at this point, you can just trade away. You don't need to draw any more cards with Lily. And at this point, all you really need to do is Guzma down whatever your opponent attaches energy to. You can see he has 6 prizes worth of knockouts on the board. He can get 3 of them this turn by knocking out the tag team. If he plays a Guzma, he can knock out Zeraora GX, and then plays another Guzma, knocks out the Marshadow. That all adds up to 6 prizes and a victory.
Stephane spending his time trading before finally Riotous beating for 3 prizes from that Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Marshadow becomes the active Pokemon. On Diego's side,
just find a Volkner. I don't know how much that's going to help him at this point, but at least he's got a supporter he can play.
Yeah, just a miserable hand this entire game. Really not what you want to see ever, but especially in such a high leverage position like this in these semifinals. You have a chance of becoming an international champion, and one game just seems out of reach.
Yeah, we've seen Diego find crafty ways to dig out of perilous positions before, but I think this one is just too much. Seems like the door is closing rapidly, and he's going to do whatever he can. He's going to go find this Zapdos, perhaps get a Thunderous Assault off this turn, and at least try to get a little damage onto the Zoroark GX. I'm actually going to go after the Meowth and take a prize card.
Yep, Meowth becomes the active Pokemon. Energy switch to Zapdos, and we will see Diego take his 3rd prize.
And he misses the Thunder Mountain again.
Looks like Thunder Mountain will be the next prize he draws, but at that point it might be too little too late.
Yeah, again, Stephane just from turn 2 on has been in complete control of this game. It's really important for Diego to get off to a fast start. in this matchup, and I mean in pretty much every matchup with this Pikachu and Zekrom deck. But his first turn, he played an energy and he passed. You're not going to win very many games that way.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that you do have access to a lot of your deck in the Pokemon trading card game, and that can be one of the most feel bad things when you don't have anything going on and your opponent is just drawing card after card. It's not just like they're, you know, a turn ahead or a card ahead.
Yeah.
Look at Stephane. He's just burying Diego in card advantage and even winning on the board.
Right. Look at the difference in deck size at this point. There's like 30 to 40 cards left in Diego's deck.
And still casts the shadow.
Yeah. And Stephane's got like less than 10 cards in his deck.
It looks like he has about 12 cards in the hand as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he might be able to win with Unknown Hand pretty soon.
the real tech. He was distracting us all with the Dugong. Nest Ball, Unknown Hand for game. Volkner, Guzma, and a pair of escape boards are the cards for Diego, and he's just going to go ahead and concede. Yep. I think a wise choice there. I think basically no chance at winning this game. So Stephane, one game ahead, just needs to win one more game to make it to the finals once again.
Yeah, he's like, I tried to make this work, but look, I played enough games to know this one's over.
Yeah, exactly. No need to waste the time. Of course, we do have an extended match clock for these elimination rounds, so hopefully both of these players will have time to finish 3 complete games.
Yep, you're not out of it. We've seen plenty of times players crawl back from being down 1 game. And that is the benefit of playing a best 2 out of 3 match. If you have a bad game, you can shake it off and hopefully still have 2 good ones and still have an entertaining match. I do think going first is going to help Diego quite a bit. And maybe if he can draw a supporter card or something to actually do on his first turn, I would suggest doing that.
Yeah, supporter card, making some game actions, advancing your board state in any way. He did take some prizes that turn or that game.
He did, yeah.
But other than that, just wasn't really getting there. But yeah, I do think going first is going to be a pretty big advantage here, especially when you're playing against an evolution deck. Like Diego is very well might start taking prizes before Stephane even has a Zoroark on the board, or any evolutions for that matter.
Yeah, every game plays out just a little bit differently, and we'll see how this one goes.
Here's some excitement for the crowd.
Yeah.
I got to imagine they're not celebrating for all this shuffling the main stage game. We will, of course, get you updates on that match as they come in.
Yeah, look at that mass shuffle. Ooh. All right, it sounds like Emery is up 1-0 in our other match. So the Pikachu and Zekrom deck ahead in that series over the Baby Blacephalon deck. We'll see if Diego can turn the tides and have another Pikachu and Zekrom deck perhaps make it to the finals.
And looking over the prizes, nothing too relevant there for Diego or Stephane. 1 copy of the Dugong, and of course that Giratina for Stephane.
Yeah, Giratina's been an all-star for Stephane pretty much all weekend, letting him get knockouts in conjunction with the Dugong. We saw it in the top 8 match, being able to pick off multiple 70 HP Pokemon thanks to the Distortion Door. It's not entirely relevant in this matchup. It can be if your opponent has benched multiple Jirachi, but overall, you're really just trying to get Zoroark GX out.
Yeah, Stephane not playing any tag team GXs of his own, just kind of combining the Dugong and Giratina, making his own tag team there. We see the Jirachi Stellar Wish into a Volkner. So already done more to advance the board state than Diego did at all last game. So that Volkner is going to get a Lightning Energy, of course. The Thunder Mountain Stadium is in the deck.
Yeah, still not as explosive of a start as you would really hope for with this deck. Volkner is fine. I think it's more of like a middle of the game supporter when it's like, I need an energy and an electro power. Okay, great. Good job, Volkner. But on the first turn, you really want to be doing things like Ultra Ball your hand away, play Lily, draw 8 cards, play down a bunch of stuff, let loose your opponent. This is a pretty tame start overall.
Yeah, definitely. He did find an Ultra Ball off of the Volkner, so he will be able to work his hand down a little bit. Looks like Lightning Energy and Dene GX will be hitting the discard pile.
Well, looks like Marshadow is coming out.
All right. Zapdos, Energy, and now we're going to let loose.
Here we go.
So Stephane just with a Meowth. Both players going to shuffle their hands into their decks and draw 4 cards. We've seen games literally end on the first turn in this tournament because of a let loose. That can be an absolutely devastating ability. And one of the things that I think makes Diego's position a little bit favorable here is the fact that he is only getting the 4 cards, but then he has a Jirachi in the active position. We've kind of seen all players with the different Jirachi decks be able to do that, kind of take advantage and undo the card disadvantage from the let loose.
Yeah, and notably, Stephane playing the other Meowth. He is not playing the one with Catterday, which can be helpful in this scenario as a last-ditch effort to help draw some extra cards. Instead, playing the one with 70 HP, so he won't have that option to use Catterday and draw extra cards.
And it looks like Stephane doesn't have a great hand here. He's just forced to attach and pass the turn.
Oh no.
He just has to pass. Yeah, wow, both players.
And Diego's like, yeah, okay, my turn. And he does not have a way to win yet.
No, in order to play the Guzma, he will need a Pokemon on Stephane's side of the
Yeah, if he drew an energy, he could have won there.
Let's see if we can see a skateboard here.
Oh, no.
We do not. No, he misses.
Okay. Stephane
wow.
probably expects to lose this immediately, but instead is going to get another turn.
It's one of those situations where you just, every second that ticks by of Diego's turn, you just think, all right, go ahead. And, oh, wait, am I going to win?
Yeah.
Did he miss? Wow. Wow. And then at this point, you just got to believe that Diego just doesn't have it.
Yeah, at this point, I'm expecting him to go like Ultra Ball, get a Dedenne GX, but no, he
has to pass the turn. Jirachi's asleep. What is the top card of Stephane's deck?
It's a
Pokemon Communication.
What?
All right. He is gifted with this game. Wow. After being let loosed, no cards, having to attach to the Meowth until 20 damage, Pokemon Communication is going to save him here.
Must be nice to be Stephane.
Wow, you just hate to see that from Diego, too. Diego's just like, all right, I can win. Well, I'll give him one more turn. What is it? Oh, he draws the Communication.
All right, well, at least we're going to see a game here. Hopefully it ends up being a good one. You know, Diego really didn't do anything on his turn. His hand is pretty bad, but he does have a couple Guzma in there. And once Stephane actually starts benching Pokemon, he can actually use it. So this should still be a pretty good game, honestly. I'm glad it didn't end right away. But Diego still seems to be in a good spot.
Yeah, we were so focused on the fact that Diego just couldn't win last game. Yeah, his hand is just horrible. It just has a bunch of Guzmas in it. Nothing really to do. Of course, he does have the Jirachi, but looks like we could be actually in pretty even standing here, depending on how this, what this Tapu Lele finds for Stephane.
Yeah, it looks like he's going for Tapu Lele GX to Wonder Tag. We saw another version of this deck earlier in the event where Pedro Eugenio Torres was running the engine with Professor Elm's Lecture. And you would think in this situation that would help quite a bit. Guarantee yourself 3 basic Pokemon. And instead, Stephane's pondering, should I Tapu Lele, grab Lily, draw 5 or 6 cards, or just grab Dedenne GX, dump my hand, and guarantee 6 cards?
Finally decides just to grab the Tapu Lele Wonder Tag into Lily. Not sure what the other playable cards are in his hand, but Lily will at least be drawing him some cards.
You can attach to the Tapu Lele GX and go ahead and draw 6 cards off of this, but man, he still needs to find some Zorua, Ditto Prism Star, something.
And he does find a Zorua. He does find a pair of Ultra Balls as well as a Zoroark GX.
Oh, right, and it's not his first turn anymore.
No, yeah,
I forgot.
just drawing the 4 back up to 6.
Yeah, that's more of a reason to consider Dedenne GX instead.
And do you think that committing the 2 double colorlesses this early to your non-optimal Pokemon is going to be a big deal for Stephane?
It potentially could be, but I think if you're going to commit to playing Lily, it's just something you have to do. You can't afford to basically play a How for your turn and draw 3 cards. It just doesn't cut it in this situation. I do wonder what Stephane is going to grab here, because I was assuming he was going to go for Dedenne GX and a Dede change for a fresh 6 cards, but instead it looks like he's just going for another Zorua and saying, okay, I can get Zoroark GX out next turn, and hopefully that is good enough to start getting things going with some trades.
Yeah, that trade ability really useful when you have a whole grip full of cards and can decide which ones to pitch. But we've seen people throughout this tournament just kind of be forced to trade away with, 1 or 2 cards in hand. It doesn't always get there, as we see the retreat from Stephane's side and an energy drive.
Okay, that's actually pretty important. It leaves the Jirachi with 10 HP left. So later on in the game, we could see that Giratina with Distortion Door come in for a free prize card. So that's great foresight there from Stephane. Diego looking for something here. As we have noted, his hand is not very good.
Yeah, he does find either an Ultra Ball, a Pokemon Communication, or a Nest Ball. Looks like he's going to go for the middle option in that that Electromagnetic Radar.
Yeah. And this is a painful hand to throw away, though. This usually gets you the Dedenne GX, but man, I think he's got a couple Guzma in there.
Yeah, he does have, I believe,
3.
3. Yeah. Wow. What a painful experience this whole entire match has been for Diego. We see a Guzma bringing up the bench Zorua.
And he's just decided, all right, I got to put down Pikachu and Zekrom GX here. I got to put an energy somewhere.
And he does score a knockout. Tapu Lele looks to be the active to promote for Stephane. Nest Ball is the draw. Of course, he has that Zoroark GX, but he planned his last turn around.
I think Stephane was trying to set up this turn where he could keep the Ultra Ball, trade away the card he draws for the turn, and Ultra Ball for Dedenne GX. Guarantees him a Zoroark in play, and then it guarantees him a Dede change to get a fresh hand of 6 cards, and then hopefully find a supporter from there. Now he's faced with the tough decision. Does he want to throw away 2 supporters to pull this off, or just play the Judge?
It's going to be pretty risky either way.
Man, I think Diego would love if Stephane played Judge. His hand is pretty much unplayable, and Stephane...
He's just forced to.
Does play the Judge. He could have Ultra Balled for Dedenne and decides, you got too many cards. And he probably correctly identified that his opponent was sitting on more Guzma.
Yeah, I was going to say Stephane had to have the read there of, okay, well, you haven't played a draw supporter. What else could you have? And that doesn't matter anymore, as both players will be drawing back up to 4 cards. The trade has already been used for Stephane.
This is a little risky. Yeah, he's already traded. He's only getting 4 cards off of this Judge. And if he doesn't draw a way to search for Dedenne GX, I mean, he's just going to have to pass the turn.
Yeah, he didn't. He just drew some supporters and a triple acceleration energy.
Yeah,
that's an energy drive.
That's why I thought going for a Dedenne GX might have made more sense. Dump your hand, get fresh 6 cards. It's risky to put down another small Pokemon GX like that in the face of a Pikachu and Zekrom, but man, you got to start drawing cards, right?
Yeah, this choice didn't end up working out for him. We do see one Guzma still hanging out, haunting Diego here.
Yeah, he's faced with another tough decision. He's got a Guzma and an energy switch, and he's just going to go for it. Guzma out the Meowth, energy switch up to the Zapdos, and keep picking off these small Pokemon wherever he can, increase his prize card lead, and hope that his opponent can't string together 4 more benched Pokemon for the Riotous Beating knockout.
4 prizes remaining for Diego, clawing into this game. Both players just kind of not really starting where they really want to be, not really drawing many cards, but it looks like Stephane has decided it is time for Dedenne GX.
It's time for a change.
A Dede change.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, with only 1 extra card in hand, I believe. Oh, it's 3 rather, excuse me.
And he's gonna, well, I guess he wouldn't have grabbed this if he was gonna play Judge again, but he had the option of playing Judge one more time.
Roll the dice again. Decides this time, didn't really help me there last time. I think I'll just do a more aggressive thing here. Triple acceleration energy on the Zoroark GX. There's a Dedenne. 2 cards gone, 6 cards in the hand.
All right, yeah, just needs to find some basic Pokemon. And he does find the cards to fill up his bench if he wants, but it's gonna be pricey.
Yeah, he has that Zorua, of course. He has that Marshadow. Just kind of needs to depend on how Stephane wants to arrange this. An Ultra Ball, so that's going to be traded away first. Ditto Prism Star is big.
It's a good draw. He's got a Zorua and that Ditto Prism Star, and couldn't see maybe a Rescue Stretcher as well, but that Pokemon Communication is going to guarantee him the 3rd and final benched Pokemon he needs. So this game is starting to pick up the momentum a little bit. Both players starting to get what they need, although Diego is still a little far behind in terms of setting up his board. He's been able to Guzma and get some early knockouts, but he hasn't been able to really get a lot of energy in play.
Yeah, absolutely. Just struggling on Diego's side this entire match. Unfortunate turn of events. This game is far from over, but it does seem like Stephane maybe pulling ahead here is going to be able to fill his bench. Ditto Prism Star comes down. Zorora comes down.
Yeah, Poipel comes down.
Poipel, one of the kind of innovations from this group of players this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to work out in this situation. The typical strategy you go for is you attack into your opponent's tag team once. They take some big knockout, but don't win the game. And then you send up Naganadel GX, use that Stinger GX attack, reset the prize cards to 3, and then your opponent can't take 3 prizes on their turn, and you simply knock out their tag team and you win the game. I don't know if Stephane has the resources to make that happen in this situation. Diego's already at 4 prizes. If he can power up Pikachu and Zekrom this turn and get a big knockout, I think he may just be too far ahead.
Yeah, probably not going to come up here as we see that Jirachi Stellar Wish looking at an escape board and a nest ball. Neither one
just miserable.
Yeah, neither one is going to do much to really help the hand. Nest ball is going to find a Tapu Koko Prism Star.
I like this a lot from Diego. He had an option to take the escape board off of the Stellar Wish, but he recognized he wasn't going to be able to Lily from any cards, but he does have 2 energy switches in his hand. So what he can do is Nest Ball for Tapu Koko, use that Dance of the Ancients ability, play out those energy switches, play the Electro Power, and then Lily for 6 cards, hoping to find a switch or an escape board.
And when he does just that, Dance of the Ancients going to put energy all over the board. There's the energy switch. And here's the other energy switch, a fully loaded Pikachu and Zekrom. There's the Electro Power, and here is the Lily for 6.
This is huge. He needs to find a way to switch that Jirachi.
Does he find it? And no,
not quite, but he does find Dedenne GX.
Is it worth it here? Is he just going to slam the whole hand down to try and find another way to move it?
I don't see why not. I'm just going in.
Getting rid of some of the cards there with an Ultra Ball. Going to get rid of him with that Dedenne anyway. May as well make some use out of them. Looks like it's going to find yet another copy of Jirachi.
I think just grabbing it so he can throw it away with Dedenne GX. I do see a potential line of play for Stephane to win this game. Even if his Zoroark GX gets knocked out. I mean, that would make things tougher, but it involves Giratina, which is why this plan doesn't work, because it's in his prizes. So never mind.
Beautiful analysis there. We do see that Dedenne come down.
Oh, he finds the escape board.
Finds the escape board, so he can move that Jirachi out of the active position.
All right. Does he find another damage modifier? If he does, he can full blitz for the knockout. Otherwise, he's going to have to use his GX attack.
Looks like he does not. Looks like he's opting not to.
Oh, that works
for the
too.
Knockout here.
He's saying, hey, if you don't have Acerola, I just win next turn. And even if you do, I just win next turn if I Guzma out Tapu Lele or Dedenne GX.
Look at all the energy on that Pikachu and Zekrom GX.
Oh, you got to be
big tag bolt.
You got to be careful. That Aether Paradise conservation area does reduce the damage done to Dedenne GX. So you got to make sure you Guzma the right thing out.
I expect a player of Diego's caliber to see that.
I would hope so, but it's something that can easily be missed.
We do see the Dugong being traded away here.
Yeah, I think Stephane needs to find Acerola. He needs to get that Mew onto his bench to prevent the big Tag Bolt GX. There's no way he can knock out Pikachu and Zekrom here, I don't think. In a better scenario, you can get to 240 with Persian GX, Triple Acceleration Energy, Choice Band, Professor Kukui, but it's not his active Pokemon right now, so it's not really possible.
No, it is not, and the second trade does not find an out to an Acerola either. So we're going to see a Pokemon communication here.
I mean, he can, out of desperation, get one more Zoroark GX into play, right? He can evolve the Ditto, but it's not what he wanted to do.
And with this Zoroark GX in play, he'll have one more shot at trading into the Acerola. Just confirming the Acerola was in the deck there as he was shuffling.
Yeah, even if he finds Acerola, I'm not sure he actually wins the game. And as we can see, not in his prize cards. But at least he can potentially make it through another turn.
Here we go. There's the third Zoroark, the third trade. Goodbye, Nest Ball. Hello, Acerola.
Suspense is killing me.
It's like Stephane's going to take some time, going to think about it, go through the line, and Tapu, no, looks like he missed.
Yeah, and that's just disastrous.
And he's just going to and scoop him up. Diego Cassiraga winning game 2, tying up the series here in the semifinals.
All right, so Stephane did end up getting to play a second turn of the game, but it ultimately did not matter. If you remember back, that game almost ended with a Meowth getting knocked out turn 2. But turned into a decent game. Diego was pretty far ahead for most of it and was able to close it out with that Pikachu and Zekrom GX. But now here we are, 1-1 with just under 45 minutes remaining. We're going to have all the time in the world to resolve this game.
And hopefully both players can get adequate draws and play a real back-and-forth match that this crowd deserves, especially given that these are two of the best players in the game right now. Just an incredible match to be able to feature here.
Yeah, we had the magical run from Tord Reklev in the past couple of years where he won 3 straight international championships. He made the finals of the North American International Championships 2 years in a row. And Stephane is trying to catch up to Tord a little bit. Not quite that same magical run, but he's got a victory last year. He's gotten a second place in Oceania this year, where he was very close to taking the title there. And man, if he can make another finals appearance, and he's not quite at Tord level, but he's knocking on the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And even being knocking at the door of Tord, that's the most impressive year-long run in the history of the game. So even being close to that, even being able to be compared to that is huge for Stephane. And of course, Stephane has already made it this far. He is in the semifinals, but all of these players want that title of champion. Stephane especially, he is the reigning defending. He just wants to keep the trophy with him, and he's gonna have one more shot at it.
Yeah, I think Stephane himself has even said he's been playing for about 9 years. He had a lot of success in France, but just within the past couple of years, he's starting to be recognized as a great player with great success on the international stage. He wants these opportunities to show off, hey, I am one of the best players in this game. And every time he gets an opportunity to showcase that, he has capitalized on it. He's been an impressive player over the past year and a half or so. And it's no surprise to see him back here, but it is still an incredible accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely one of the best, doing some unprecedented things here. We're gonna take a look at the prizes of Stephane.
Naganadel GX is in there, as well as 2 triple acceleration energy.
Yeah, these Zoroark decks are already a little bit short on energy, and not having access to 2 of them off the bat can make it a little bit difficult.
All right, nothing too important for Diego. And here we go, one final game to decide this match between Stephane Ivanoff and Diego Cassiraga, a clash of the Titans. We'll see who can win this game and move on to the finals.
And move on to the Sunday stage, where we will crown a champion. Both these players want it. Both these players have been in similar positions before, and they just have to try to do it again. Here is the Nest Ball. Looks like it's gonna find a Ditto Prism Star.
Yeah, importantly for Diego, there's no Prism Star cards in his prize cards. Unfortunately for Diego, his hand is miserable.
Not again. Not again.
He's got 2 Pikachu and Zekrom, 2 Energy, Thunder Mountain, and a Choice Band, if I saw that correctly. So I think he's sitting here saying, I sure hope Stephane's got one of them judges right now.
We do see the Nest Ball find a Zorua. Pokemon Communication is going to trade the Zoroark in for a Ditto Prism Star. So ending up with both of those important basics on the bench on the first turn is Stephane.
Oh boy, that's going to be... I'm not sure how strong Stephane's hand is. Based on the way he's playing, I would assume pretty good. But this first draw for Diego is going to be a bit of a sweat.
We are going to see the full Lily here, drawing all the way up to 8 cards after an attachment of that double colorless on the Zorua. So no judge to help Diego out. He's going to be relying straight off the top of his deck.
Yeah, fantastic start. This is the Nest Ball and Lily engine in action. There's always that split, 2 different philosophies on how to play Zoroark. We had the Professor Elm's lecture version earlier in this event with Pedro, where you're trying to use your first supporter card just to grab a couple Zorua and guarantee that you can have those Pokemon to evolve into on the next turn. Or you have this Nest Ball Lily version where you're trying to play a bunch of Nest Balls, Lily to fill your hand up, and maybe draw a few more Nest Balls and get those basic Pokemon and also draw the cards you need to find Zoroark GX in the next turn.
All right, and the draw for the turn.
Marshadow!
The Marshadow, all right. So we can have a Let Loose here.
Okay, so this is a tricky hand to play out. You're definitely playing an energy on the Zeraora GX. There's a question, do you play the Thunder Mountain Prism Star? Diego's answered that one. You can ask, do I put down Pikachu and Zekrom GX? That one I'm less confident on, but you're going to have to let loose. And
wow, it does not feel confident just resetting to 4 cards here. Let Loose is something you do to your opponents when you have a favorable position. That's not at all what Diego has here.
Yeah, he's still got like somewhere around 40 cards in his deck. His odds of finding even a supporter card are not that great, but that was one of his better draws for the turn.
I mean, you only have so many outs in that situation, and once you've drawn the Marshadow, you just have to do it, but it doesn't feel good. These next 4 cards are going to determine a lot.
Okay, here we go. Very important 4 cards here to determine this top 4 match. Diego wants to find an Ultra Ball or a Lily or something.
4 cards, and
that's close.
Yeah.
That's a supporter at least. That finds you a Dedenne GX.
If there is that Volkner, again, you mentioned earlier that the Volkner is more of a mid-game supporter, and Diego has been forced to play it on the first turn. But after that opening hand that he showed us, things could be a lot worse. So I'm sure he's just thankful for the opportunity to get to play this game.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to grab Electromagnetic Radar or Ultra Ball here. It looks like just the Ultra Ball. I guess it's got to be Dedenne GX, right? The rest of his hand isn't really playable, and yeah, you can't just grab a Zapdos or something. You gotta.
No, you have to be able to set yourself up for the future turns. So we see both of those Lightning Energy going away for Diego, and I'm gonna go ahead and take a look through his deck, but he does have the Dedenne GX.
Yep.
There we go. So after we opened with a bad hand, reset it to 4. The 4 was playable enough, and now we're resetting it to 6. And what is Diego looking for off of these new 6 cards?
I mean, it depends on how lucky you're feeling. If you're feeling like it's your day, then a way to attack with Pikachu and Zekrom on this turn. Otherwise, probably just a Zapdos. If you can find Zapdos, you already put the Thunder Mountain Prism Star in play, and you can at least Thunderous Assault for a knockout. One of the problems for Diego is there's a Ditto Prism Star on Stephane's side, and he was unable to play Guzma this turn. So that means Stephane can get Alolan Muck on the next turn, which really limits Diego's options in future turns. And boy, I don't even know if he found a way to get Zapdos.
No, I don't think so. He just
a
couple of Pokemon energy, and yeah, just forced to pass the turn.
He could have used the full voltage GX on Zeraora to power up Pikachu and Zekrom, but decides I need to save my GX attack for later and just hope my opponent got hindered by this let loose.
Unfortunately, he did not. Pokemon Communication, Tapu Lele GX, both in the hand of Stephane.
It's a narrator. He wasn't.
We do see Stephane considering what to do with this Tapu Lele GX Wonder Tag ability.
Yeah, this looks like another great opening for Stephane. This is crucial. This is putting him one step closer to making the finals once again at the North American International Championships. Diego with a pair of just unfortunate draws in games 1 and 3, setting him on the back foot. And Stephane looking to capitalize here.
And capitalize he will. Stephane is one of the best players in the world, as we've talked about. So any advantage that he can get, even if it's just having a busted 4-card hand off of the let loose, he will take. Looks like he's going to do some more shuffling here. Wonder Tag finds the Lily, and then
Yep.
Pokemon Communication is going to get rid of a Persian GX. I don't imagine for Zoroark.
Yeah, exactly. Get those trades up and running. And this is what you were hoping not to see if you're Diego. The one card you're still looking to avoid is the Alolan Muck. If that card doesn't come down this turn, you still feel like you have a chance, but if Stephane is able to find Alolan Muck, oh boy, it's going to get out of hand quickly.
And there is an Ultra Ball, which at a cost can find it. Do some trading first. Judge triple acceleration.
Don't draw an extra card, Stephane. This is the wrong time to do that.
Not now. Looks like there he may have seen the card.
I don't think he did. I could be wrong.
I didn't feel like he did, but I mean, obviously I'm not seeing from his eyes, but.
And he's saying, hey, I'm going to play this Ultra Ball. I'm going to see what the top card of my deck is anyway. It's not a big deal. You would hate to see a penalty decide a match of this caliber. Of course, Stephane on the wrong end of a penalty in the finals of the Oceania International Championships had a little misstep where he drew a card before promoting his Pokemon and ultimately ended up losing a game because his opponent got the double prize penalty. Of course, the benefactor of that in the top 8 where his opponent also got a double prize penalty. So when you're in these situations, you got to be careful, you know, tighten up your play. You can't be sloppy. Just take your time, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It just means so much, and those prize penalties can really shift things. Looks like the judges are going to have a little discussion here about what exactly happened. And you never want a match to end this way. Just so unfortunate. But you got to play by the rules. You got to make sure that you're playing tight. Pokemon trading card game is a very easy one. You're going through your deck so much, you're shuffling and drawing cards. It's very, very easy to accidentally take a peek at an extra card or even just draw an extra card, miscount something. So I'm sure no harm, no foul by Stephane, but judges will assess a penalty.
Yeah, and all we can do is really sit here and speculate and wait until the judges come to a decision. But from what I saw, it didn't really look like he drew the extra card. Just one card got stuck. He put it back. I don't think anything really, no foul play happened there, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are not judges. We're not in Stephane's seat, but it wasn't clear at the very least. And
yeah,
I don't think anything fishy has happened here.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't trying to pull one over on anyone and draw an extra card. It was clearly an accident.
But it is important to enforce the rules. You know, whether it was an accident or not, just you can't just have people doing that all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There have been harsher penalties put in place over the past year or so to discourage things like drawing your cards too quickly, accidentally drawing extra cards, looking at too many cards when you're searching for things.
And I would bet that that's honestly just to prevent sloppiness more than anything. I think that used to be something back when it was a lower penalty that just happened a lot. Not from players trying to gain any advantage necessarily, but just from, you know, trying to make actions quickly, especially if the clock matters, going through your deck a bunch. Just a very easy mistake to make, but a very costly one.
Yeah. So Kenny, we're awaiting the judge's decision here in this matchup between two of the great players in the game. It looks like Stephane is about to take the lead in this one. Do you think Diego can pull this back somehow, or is it just too much?
I don't think it's strictly too far. You know, I don't think Stephane necessarily just has the check mark by his name, but I think it's going to be difficult for Diego to pull it back. He's obviously behind here, and he's just had some rough draws in games 1 and 3. And it just feels like, similar to game 1, what can happen with these Zoroark decks is they can just start to run you over. There's some other decks, you never want to be in Diego's position, but against some other decks, you can just have, okay, well, I guess I'm a little bit behind, take some a few cards behind, but hope my opponent just doesn't draw the Guzma or whatever it may be. But when you have Zoroark trade, it's just so easy. Even one turn can shift the dynamics so much in Stephane's favor.
Yeah, you even see some players deliberately going out of their way and counting out 1, 2 every time they trade, not just grabbing 2 cards from the top of their deck and putting them into your hand.
Right. I believe that is kind of the proper way of doing things, but easy to shortcut.
So let's see how this one's going to resolve. It might be a little bit, folks, until we get the full answer on this situation. Unfortunate that we have to be in this situation, but it is what it is. You know, it's a physical card game. You know, we're dealing with humans. People are not perfect.
Yep, and it sounds like there's also a judge ruling on the main stage, which is why this is going to delay it a little bit.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the judge is up there now figuring out that situation, and then he or she will come back to us.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it in an earlier round, but this is where the intensity really picks up. These are high-stakes matches. This is to go to the finals of the tournament. I mean, there's a lot of prize money on the line. There's a lot of championship points on the line. Heck, there's just a lot of pride on the line. Being able to say, I defeated Stephane. I took away his international championship. That's got a lot of weight to it. For a player like Diego, who's been world champion, I mean, these kind of moments are still what you live for. I mean, what else can you do when you've won the biggest tournament in the world but try to rack up some more trophies in other ways?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll just hear that from the top players in the game. You know, again, they've all accomplished so much, and especially now with the international circuit the way it is, they're all playing against each other all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun to just say, yeah, well, you know, I know you may have won internationals, you may have won worlds, but I am 2 over you. Don't forget that. So the pride definitely plays a factor here.
Yeah. There's always that one person who kind of has your number. No matter how many times you play against them, they just keep destroying you. It just feels like, come on, I can beat world champions, but this guy in my local league, every time he just destroys me.
Every single time. It does feel a little bit better if that person who destroys you every time is, you know, one of the greatest players in the world, but tough either way. Like we said, we hopefully will get this judge call resolved.
Yeah, like for me,
possible.
I actually have a really good record against Jason Klaczynski, who's probably the greatest player of all time, 3-time world champion. But I would play against other great players. Like I have an abysmal record against Jay Horning. I'm like 1-10 or something. And obviously that's kind of variance at play. Like one of those players is not significantly better than the others, right? They're both high quality players, but just so happened to be that, hey, whenever I played against this guy, I didn't draw well, and whenever I played against this guy, I at least drew cards to be able to play the game.
Yeah,
it's just funny how that works out.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like the judge is back at the table now, as you can see on your screen. I think they're still explaining the situation, so it might be a little while longer here. But yeah, I think what you just brought up is actually really important. It's so hard to differentiate. In fact, there really is no way to differentiate between the actual skill level of the best, you know, 20, 30 players in the world. So when it comes down to it, when you need to brag or you need to actually make a ranking, it comes down to, well, how many trophies do I have? How many times have I beaten you? But at the end of the day, they're all very good. They're all great. The skill levels are just very comparable.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, Pokemon trading card game is a very difficult game to play. You might look at it and say, what do you mean it's a simple game? I mean, you put energy on your Pokemon, you attack. But no, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of decisions made in every game. After you play for a while, you might not realize that you're eliminating a lot of the decisions going, oh, it would be silly for me to Ultra Ball away this double colorless energy. But if you're playing for the first time and you're like, Ultra Ball, my goodness. There's so many decisions to make here.
I need to choose which cards to discard. I need to do that twice from my hand. Then I also need to search my entire deck and find a Pokemon to play. There are, I think the thing that I've said about Pokemon over a lot of other games is that every turn has so many decisions. There's very rarely a turn where you just go, you know, attach, pass, or something like that. You're always kind of thinking about the future turns, playing out cards, drawing so many cards. You just have so many decision points that you're absolutely right. A lot of the top players, once you've played the format, once you've seen all the cards, you kind of tend to shortcut these. But they are decisions, they are real.
Absolutely. We do see a conversation happening between the judge and the players. There was an appeal to the head judge over a ruling that was made at the table. So again, still waiting to get that resolution. We don't really have a lot of insight into what's being discussed, but clearly it's all related to potentially seeing an extra card off of that trade.
Yeah, but we do have some information while this match is a little bit stalled. Emery has actually won his match 2-0, so we will have at least one Pikachu and Zekrom GX player in the finals here.
Wow. Congrats to Emery. I think he kind of came out of nowhere. He's had some decent finishes at regional championships, I think top 16s here and there, but this is a huge, huge accomplishment, making it to the finals of the biggest event of the year. And that means we got Pikachu and Zekrom GX in the finals of another international championship.
And that's one of the beautiful things about a tournament like this is that it allows players both like Emery, who maybe don't have the same level of accomplishments, to share the same seats and play games against people like these two. Some of the best players in the world, former world champions. So congratulations to Emery. We might have a second Pikachu Zekrom in the finals, especially depending on how this rule goes here. Stephane does not look too happy, but we will update you as soon as we have a definitive answer. Yeah. Did you see the question that we kept asking on the main stage earlier about the Stinger GX and how that interacts with prize penalties?
Yep, I do know how that works.
Favorably.
Yes. Yep, turns out you just need to take one more prize after you Stinger GX. Yeah, if your opponent is unfortunate enough to get a quad prize penalty, which does exist, then you announce Stinger GX and you have won the game.
You just win. All right, so it looks like players are playing once again. They revealed the top card of the deck, just so both players have the same information. The judges must have ruled that it was just an accident, which we were pretty sure it was. And now it's time for an Ultra Ball.
Yeah, we'll see if there was any penalty assigned to that. I'm not sure what the final ruling was. We'll probably get confirmation at some point, but in the meantime, let's continue with this game. The reality of the situation has not changed for Diego. His cards have not changed. They're still terrible. And if Stephane finds the Alolan Muck here, he is still in the driver's seat in this game, regardless of prize cards. And we'll see if he decides to Ultra Ball for another Zoroark GX and favor getting more trades online, or if he just goes for the Alolan Muck. And it looks like he knows this Power of Alchemy ability is going to severely limit the options for his opponent and goes straight for it.
We do have that Muck. And we also have gotten an update that Stephane has been assigned a double prize penalty. So Diego will just need to take 4 prizes to win this game.
Stephane probably having flashbacks. Like, not again, not another one of these double prize penalties. And both times it's been kind of accidental things. But as you said, you do have to enforce the rules when these things happen. But Stephane will go ahead with the Riotous Beating. 120 damage on the Zeraora GX. And Diego draws an Electro Power for the turn. Crucially, Stephane did not counter the Thunder Mountain Prism Star. He didn't get that Marshadow to send it to the Lost Zone. So if Diego attaches an energy and plays the Electro Power, he can Plasma Fist for the knockout, which means he only has to take 2 more prizes to win this match.
It looks like he's going to bench the Pikachu and Zekrom GX attached to that.
Oh man, does he have a... He has an escape rope. This is going to get awkward.
Yes, escape
rope. I think he has to decide, do I send out Meowth or Zorua here?
If you're in Stephane's seat right now, what do you do?
I think I'm sending out Meowth. I don't know if you can afford to send out Mew, because if your opponent attacks and knocks it out, that just... Well, actually, no. Mew's of course, I would send out Mew, I think. Yeah. I think that makes sense. Unless you think your opponent is just flat out bluffing you, then I think I would send out Zorua and just try to evolve and attack with the Zoroark GX.
It looks like tough. Yeah, Stephane's really in the tank here. He's put the Zoroark back, maybe considering the Mew here. He's thinking about all the possibilities.
Yeah, he's got to make a decision. He can't afford another double prize penalty.
Speaking of, I think the match timer we have is probably a little bit off. I assume they got a time extension for that judge call. But yeah, that will be updated soon.
Yeah, and I don't even think it'll take this long.
No, I don't think. I'm not too worried about it. Looks like Mew is the final decision.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense to me. The only thing that would scare me is there's already 2 double colorless energy gone, and there's a chance that I can't move this Mew. And if that's the case, not attacking here feels like a big missed opportunity. So I wonder if Stephane is going to play this judge. Well, he's definitely not going to play the judge. I guess you just trade away the judge and hope for the best.
He's trading away the triple acceleration energy, giving himself outs to maybe still play the judge if he's forced to.
Nice. That escape rope may have bought Diego some time. Of course, you cannot attach triple acceleration energy to a basic Pokemon, only to evolution Pokemon. So he cannot use that to retreat. He's got the judge in hand, but I think Stephane knows there's no way I'm supposed to be using this card here. My opponent's hand was miserable.
He just has to pass the turn back. Guzma is the top card of the deck for Diego.
He can Guzma out the Alolan Muck, but I don't think it really accomplishes much. If Stephane had a Guzma that turn, he would have played it. So I think I'm holding on to the Guzma and just passing if I'm Diego, but man, this is a tricky situation. If anything, Diego has excelled in the past at crawling out of some very unfortunate situations. He really seems to know how to play these low resource games, and I think we may see him use his GX attack here with Zeraora GX. We are going to see the very rare full voltage GX to power up his Pikachu and Zekrom. I think that double prize penalty may have changed how he's going to approach this game, saying, I don't think I need to tag bulls anymore. As long as I can get some big knockouts, attack with Pikachu and Zekrom a couple times, I'm going on to the finals.
A double prize penalty playing a big role here as we see a Guzma is drawn off of the trade.
That's huge.
So it looks like Stephane will be able to move that Mew out of the active position. And now it's all just a race to see if he can press his advantage before that Pikachu and Zekrom becomes, start taking some prizes.
All right, Guzma bringing out the Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Stephane doing all he can in this game to prevent Diego from taking 4 prize cards. He's going to attack into that big tag team. It's going to be a very, very close finish here. If Diego can find enough Electro Powers, he can string together some knockouts here, but it's going to be... This is close game.
Every turn for Diego has just been so excruciating. He's just so low on resources, and he has to just think deeply about what he needs to do. And it has not been easy for him. If he pulls this one out, it's going to be quite the accomplishment. I'm sure he'll be mentally drained and pretty happy that we're doing finals tomorrow morning.
So he does have 1 Electro Power in hand, but he's already used his GX attack. That means he cannot use Tag Bolt this turn. So with only 1 Electro Power, all he could do is full Blitz, which granted is a pretty good attack, but it's not exactly what he needs. If he could have drawn 1 more Electro Power or Choice Band that turn, I think he could have had a good shot to win this game, but now Stephane is in an excellent position, especially if he can find something like Acerola to eliminate the damage from his Zoroark GX.
Yeah, another really unfortunate turn there by Diego, and I do believe that Acerola is in hand for Stephane even, so he's just going to continue to bury Diego here. Not going to be easy for him to crawl out of this one.
All right, Stephane still only has 1 Zoroark GX in play though. Only 1 trade per turn. He really needs to find that second one and get multiple trades going to build up his hand. It's like he's in a decent position here though. I think it's finally time to trade away that judge, Kenny.
Been holding on to it just in case, but I think Diego has shown enough that it's just time to get rid of it. Turn it into 2 cards from the top of the deck.
Difficult decisions here, which cards to throw away.
No, he's keeping the judge still.
Yeah, I guess the nest ball's fine too. You can't really play it here. It's not legal to play it when you have a full bench.
And there is the Acerola Zoroark GX, clearing all the damage, going back to his hand.
This
going to evolve.
Kind of artificially give you a second Zoroark GX for the turn. You get to send out a new one and trade a second time. And looks like Stephane is going to get this 3 prize knockout on Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Can he overcome that double prize card penalty? His opponent has drawn horribly in this 3rd game, but it's still very close.
See Stephane drawing his cards in a much more clear manner now. Does not want that additional double prize card penalty. And 3 prize cards are going to come Stephane's way after this riotous beating, but he still has more cards to play.
We do see Ultra Ball discarding a Nest Ball and another card here. Stephane trying to figure out what his game plan is to close out this 3rd game, move into the finals for the 2nd year in a row. And he thinks Persian GX is part of that plan. I think it is too. That Vengeance attack can add up to big 1-hit knockouts once you've gotten enough Pokemon in your discard pile. It's one of the powerful new additions to this deck from the Unbroken Bonds expansion. That along with the triple acceleration energy. And there's the riotous beating. Stephane down to 3 prize cards. Diego needs to top deck here.
Just 3 prize cards left. What will the top of Diego's deck bring him? It is an Ultra Ball.
Typically a pretty good draw, but with that Alolan Muck in play, not going to help him at all.
It doesn't do anything here. Second copy of Ultra Ball. And wow, things did not get better for Diego. Things have not gotten better for him through this whole match.
I think he's got a Guzma for the Alolan Muck here and get back his abilities. But the problem is it doesn't really help him win this game. He's got to get 4 prize cards. Taking a turn off to take a single prize card just isn't going to work in this spot.
No, it's just kind of a spot where there are no good options. He just has to choose the one that he thinks might give him the tiny, tiny edge to squeak out this game. But I got to be honest, Kyle, I don't see it happening.
If anyone can figure out a way, it is Diego, the 2017 world champion. His back is up against the wall. He's been given a little gift here, but his deck is not cooperating at this moment. Looks like he's debating playing this Ultra Ball. Could potentially get him a Zapdos. And he's also eyeing up that Ether Paradise conservation area, which could make it more difficult for Stephane to knock out his Pokemon, but it also gets rid of his own Thunder Mountain Prism Star, which is helping him use attacks here.
It looks like he is going to play the Guzma, get that Alolan Muck into the active position, that Tapu Koko GX into the active position.
Yeah, I think
take the knockout.
This is the only reasonable play you can make, but I also don't know if it's a winning play. He's just in that tough of a position, but if anything's going to let him win, I think it's this, but it certainly doesn't feel good to do that.
Yeah, this is kind of the first step is what I like to say. It doesn't feel good. It is not a great play, but if he's going to win, it's going to be with that Alolan Muck off the board, so he's got to do it sooner or later.
So Stephane deciding which Pokemon to send out. Please send one out before you draw your card, Stephane.
And he does. He wisely chooses to do so. Persian GX, he has the triple acceleration energy in hand. If that vengeance attack becomes what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's looking like Persian GX is going to be lined up for a knockout here. Even if he doesn't get enough Pokemon in the discard pile, you can see the triple acceleration energy plus choice band. Use that slash back attack. That can get a one-hit knockout on this Tapu Koko GX. You saw Diego contemplating, should I put down this Ether Paradise conservation area, make it more difficult for my opponent to knock out this Tapu Koko GX, but ultimately decided to keep Thunder Mountain in play. And you see the hand building for Stephane. Double trade at this point. Is he going to be able to find all the resources he needs to close out this game and head to the finals?
There's a Pokemon communication trading a Zoroark GX for what appears to be a Tapu Lele GX. Stephane taking a look through his deck. Very tense moments here in what are likely to be the final turns of the final semi-final match. Here's the Tapu Lele GX Wonder Tag for the Guzma.
Yeah, I like this play a lot. It guarantees a knockout here. He can go after that Zeraora GX, riotous beating for the knockout, and that makes it so much more difficult for Diego to craft a winning game plan because Persian GX is in play. It means that if Diego knocks out any of Stephane's Pokemon GX on the next turn, that Catwalk is going to search for the game-winning cards and send Stephane to the finals. So Diego's going to have to find some way to either knock out Persian GX or Guzma out the Mew and avoid knocking out a Pokemon GX.
And there is the Guzma, as you predicted. There is the Zoroark. Riotous Beating will take a knockout here, leaving Stephane with only 1 prize left to take.
Okay, here we go. So this is a tense moment for Diego. He's been holding on to those Ultra Balls. He finally has access to abilities on basic Pokemon. I gotta think he needs to do something like Guzma out the Mew and also let loose with Marshadow on this turn to try to disrupt Stephane's hand. If he's allowed to hold on to that huge grip of cards he has right now, it's probably 10 plus cards. You gotta think he's holding on to the cards to power up that Persian and win the game. Using Marshadow to let loose doesn't improve your odds drastically, but at least it gives you a chance.
And giving himself a chance, even if it doesn't improve the odds drastically, is exactly what this whole match has been about. For Diego was able to win that game too, but this last game, as well as the first game, have been very difficult for him. He's not completely out of the water yet, but he needs a lot to make this work.
Looks like he's eyeing up the Dedenne GX. It's a good way to start things off. Use Dede change, discard your hand and draw 6 fresh cards. He also has access to Jirachi in his deck still. So if he does find Guzma, he could switch into Jirachi and perhaps get a Stellar Wish going.
Looks like he's going to cash in the other Ultra Ball as well. Cards are going to be discarded off this Dede change anyway. There is a Jirachi. You just had the reads all day, Kyle.
It's unclear to me if he'll actually play it down. I think he will. But yeah, he'll probably play it down just because it opens up the door for a switch as well to draw into that Guzma.
Looks like that Jirachi has hit the board, followed by Dedenne. 6 fresh cards, 6 very important cards here for Diego.
The antenna Pokemon coming in big for Diego. This may be the last turn of his tournament. Okay, he does find that Marshadow with Let Loose, but he doesn't find a way to switch into the Jirachi. Now, he can just manually retreat the Dedenne GX. And I think the right thing to do here is play down as many cards as you can. Like attach energy, play energy switch, let loose first. And then, if you don't find the Guzma, you retreat to Jirachi and try to find that Guzma.
All right, so a big 6 cards has become a big 4 cards for each player. Diego is hanging on by the skin of his teeth here, looking for that Guzma. He's only going to get 4 shots at it. He has an excellent job of thinning out his deck, playing out all the cards in his hands, leaving him the out of Jirachi, of course, as well. But these next 4 cards are going to determine a ton.
Diego doing exactly what a world champion does, finding the play that gives him some % chance to win. It might not be a large %, but it gives him a chance to win this game. He does not find Guzma off of his 4 cards. His last chance here is a Stellar Wish from Jirachi.
Looks like that's what he has to do. Jirachi in the active position, Stellar Wish, going to look at 5 cards, 3, 4, 5, and there is no Guzma.
He
just concedes. Stephane Ivanoff has won this match and advanced once again for the 2nd year in a row to the finals of the North American International Championship. Congratulations to that man who will be playing for potentially the back-to-back title reigns tomorrow morning.
Starting to see a trend develop. The previous year's winner making it to the finals the next year. Tord Reklev, of course, taking first in